Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome to today's Quran study. We'll be reading from Surah 16, starting at verse 23. God willing, let's all seek refuge in God from Satan rejected. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Absolutely, God knows everything they conceal and everything they declare. He does not love those who are arrogant. When they are asked, "What do you think of these revelations from your Lord?" they say, "Tales from the past." They will be held responsible for their sins on the day of resurrection, all of them. In addition to somebody may even correct you and tell you like, "Hey, this is not the right way. This is the right way." For example, God alone, or you're talking to a Mohammedan or a Christian or a Jew or whatever the case could be. It could be something totally separate. We're supposed to kill our egos, and it's one of the first commandments. Not the first commandment in the Quran, but it's one of the first commandments. It's early on in Surah 2, and this is only for our own happiness and benefit, because we'll be able to be better recipients of God's message, right? And it's important too to be able to pass our tests, because we can see a lot of people have dropped out because they can't let go or they remain arrogant in this respect. When God's revelations are made real clear, but they insist on, let's say, prohibiting something that God never prohibited, or lying about God, which is the worst, fabricating lies, etc. So, we're told God does not love those who are arrogant, this is, uh, and we can see the next verse, the people who, in this respect, that these revelations are tales from the past, and just because it was revealed uh, um, many centuries ago does not negate, it doesn't change anything. Truth is always going to be the truth, whether it was billions of years ago, that only God possesses the power and there's no other God but He. Is always the same. Uh, 1 plus 1 was true 10,000 years ago, and it's just as true today, and it's just going to be as true until the end of the world, and so forth. I'm not going to say 10,000 years from now, because we know that the world isn't going to be around then. But we can see what the consequence of being arrogant is. They're going to be held responsible for their sins on the day of resurrection. In addition to the sins whom they misled by their ignorance, what a miserable load. So yeah, it really just doesn't pay, especially we can see the really arrogant ones, they because they themselves are misled, they mislead others, or they themselves really don't have any certainty about God's revelations, creation or his death or his birth. Have they seen him? No, they haven't. So, we can see how foolish these people, and really how arrogant, especially because they're spreading their lies and trying to infect other people who don't know any better. So, you may think, like, sometimes you may think that, oh, it's just, um, it's just, an idol worshiper, a disbeliever, they're worshiping their, idols and stuff. These are still really bad people, even if they're in their ignorance, and, um, especially meaning they're really bad if they get in the message and they uh, completely disregard it. And it's due to their arrogance, They're, it's their loss. It's a miserable load that if they don't, you know, uh, change and kill their egos and accept the truth, which is for their own benefit. It's a blessing, It's really I ask, excuse me, where are my partners that you had set up beside me and had opposed me for their sake? Those blessed with knowledge will say, today the shame and misery has befallen the disbelievers. You know what I mean? So people that are proclaiming Jesus is King, you know, sharing these posts online and stuff. And especially if you've gone to these people and with proofs and remind them, they you know, they're averse to even maybe looking at it because they're just stuck. They're like sheep, you know. They and even if even if they're given the truth and they know in their hearts it's correct, they rather, you know, take some worldly comfort and solace in their large numbers. But really, these are going to be the worst losers. And excuse me, they're actually opposing God by doing this. But I mean, just imagine on the day of resurrection, if these people, you know, don't, these idol worshippers, a shocker, you know, to them, like, um, you know, whether it's just their retribution and their annihilation in this world, and then the greater retribution in the hereafter. Death for the disbelievers, 28. The angels put them to death in a state of wronging their souls. That is when they finally submit and say, "We did not do anything wrong." Yes, indeed, God is fully aware of everything you have done. Therefore, enter the gates of hell, wherein you abide forever. What a miserable destiny for the arrogant ones. You know, so when they're in hell, there's not going to be any arrogance. There's not going to be any ego. You know, I mean, you're going to, I mean, the dwellers of hell are going to be so despised, debased, humiliated. Uh, I mean, you really can't even put it on like maybe a numerical scale too. You know, so like let's say you suffer some for whatever reason, or you know, you suffer some humiliation like a long time ago or something. It could have been something good or whatever the case, you know. But even if you multiply that times 1,000, you might, you know, a lot of humans might think, oh, it's unbearable. But it's gonna be not even gonna be that, you know. It's not even really, especially we know that this life is an illusion, and it's a very seemingly real, uh, I guess like illusion, but that might be uh, it looks very real, and it is for you know, um, but we know that it is an illusion, and so you know the real life is the hereafter, and so that's the life to prepare for and to take heed. But we can see those who are arrogant, those who are still holding the same traits of Satan, those who are too arrogant to submit to God alone, those who are insist on their opinions, you know, about following hadiths or following falsehood, especially when the proof comes to them. Um, and we often might wonder, you know, I mean, I have, but you know, it was explained by the messenger that as it was like revealed to him, was specifically with the Arabs, that uh, the verse he quoted was, "I will divert from my revelations those who were too arrogant." You know, so you could literally have the proof in front of you, and there's she said this explains why, like when the proofs kept going stronger and stronger, they were they they just didn't listen or didn't take heed. So they literally have blocks put on on themselves because they made the decision to be arrogant and not to turn righteous and become a submitter, eternal life. So always moving forward in this respect, meaning we maintain our submission and our devotion, and we don't. I mean, we constantly seek refuge too, because we don't want to have any arrogance. I mean, this is why we're commanded to kill our egos. So it's for our own benefit. It's for our own happiness. I mean, we can see people, you know, especially people I've known with, you know, especially people I've known with tremendous egos, and you know them like by virtue of what they're saying and speaking, etc., and their actions, whether it's in relation to like getting a message, the truth, and seeing the proofs, or just something totally else, like how they treat the people with arrogance. They roam the earth proudly. These people are always miserable. I've seen all spectrums. People with a lot of wealth that are. I've seen all spectrums. People with a lot of wealth that are like this. People with not much, but about how he knows what is hidden and concealed. I mean, who would you rather? I mean, would you rather you yourself make important decisions or control your life? I mean, you can't even control your eyesight or your heartbeat or your hearing, or how long your hair grows, or or where, um, I mean, how tall your ears are. I mean, you can't. I mean, you can't. I mean, how powerful are we? I mean, we're so uh, relying on God. So, I mean, who better than the Lord of the universe? I mean, this is like a rhetorical question, but it's still, I guess, a valid question, because it reminds us, like, we submission to God. I mean, God, He's the most kind, He's the protector, He's the most powerful, the most dignified, the Almighty. I mean, who better to lay out your life for you, to help you, and to put you in this place at this point in time? So this is what it means to submit, because I mean, he possesses all provisions. So when we try to uh, um, do things ourselves, um, so we don't have to worry about making mistakes. And we also know the verse that it says often the human being prays for something that may hurt him, thinking that it's good. You know. And then there's another verse. I think there's something that's actually good for you, and you may perceive it as bad. Um, I mean, we can't see the future. We don't even know really, well, we don't know for sure where our time or death will be. Um, and even somebody could say like, oh well, I could just go jump off a cliff tomorrow or something. But what if on the way to doing that they're driving, because they're like, oh no, I couldn't know my time of death. What if they get in a car accident and they're taking Lord? And they say, good. For those who lead a righteous life, happiness in the mode of the hereafter is even better. What a blissful as a reward for your works. The righteous taste only the first death, which has been already experienced by all of us. See Surah 44, verse 56. At the end of their interim in this world, the angels of death simply invite them to move on to paradise where Adam and Eve once lived. And we can see these verses 2, 154, 3, 169, all experienced for ourselves when we can't sustain ourselves. We need I mean, just our very just our very existence, our sleeping, I mean, our waking and our movement and our consciousness is all controlled and maintained and sustained and by God. So I mean, how we need God like so much now and forever. I mean, this is what really what hell. I mean, not having any of these things. I mean, it's was the absence of God. Because you don't have anything. You don't. They're neither alive nor dead. As we're told. And so we can be. I mean, turn eternally appreciative in this regard. That we're grateful for our existence. We're grateful that God created us from whence we didn't even exist. I mean, how do you even explain? Like, how do you even like fathom? I mean, let's praise God. But yeah, this is the real life that we should work hard towards. And I mean, we're told how beautiful it is, and also, uh, I mean, even what our imagination can imagine, right? It's going to be unfathomably more great and beautiful than that. Like it reminds me of the other verse that says, "You have no idea how much joy and happiness is waiting for those who believe in paradise." So I mean, even if you try to have an idea, even if you spent 10 years, just I mean, maybe I shouldn't say it, but I'm just making a point. But even if you spent, like, let's just say 10 hours, like meditating on like what like you wouldn't, or even if it's 10 years, I mean, you wouldn't have any idea. Um, I mean, as we know, we're given an example of like, you're trying to explain the taste of chocolate to somebody who's never tasted chocolate. You can't, I mean, you can say all these things and then maybe they could, but I mean, you can't even come close to explaining the taste of chocolate to someone who's never tasted chocolate. So, but, um, and also, as a reward for your work. So, I mean, are people, the real arrogant ones, are people who I've heard this, especially more common in Christianity. They actually kind of like in a way, belittle people who are literally trying to do good, and believe in their works, and they say they look at these people, and I know this because I've heard this multiple times. I grew up in the churches and as a Christian, but uh, they boast proudly that their faith is so much better than works, blah blah blah. But I mean, you often, it's good to make ask these people, well, like, how is this just? It's exact. Like, I mean, like, just take the examples. We have a lot of parallels and examples God has set out for us. In this world, in this life. I mean, what kind of justice, let's say your neighbor runs over, or I don't want to think of something sad or bad, but let's just say a financial crime, which is still bad, but let's say your neighbor steals 500, um, or, he runs a bank, he steals $500 million. I mean, we see this happening all the time, the corruption, and then suddenly he just can go to court and says, no, 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 like, I believe in so and so, he's going to absolve me of my crime. I mean, the people would be outraged, the people, these Christians that are so, about like works doesn't matter, etc. They would be outraged, like, no, you have to, pay, either go to jail or work the rest of your life, to expiate for this crime and pay back the money you stole. I mean, there's a punishment. You can't just get off scot free. But that's exactly like they're hypocrites in this sense. On another note, because when it comes to that, they believe, but when it actually comes to God's revelations and the truth, they run away from accountability. And I mean, it's the most really, it's a universal truth. I mean, if like the verse in the Quran says, their their consequences had to be evil for they've committed evil, something like that. So I mean, it's the same thing with good. I mean, this is what God is the most just. So they're also disbelieving in God's justice. So it's not just some get out of hell free card, like people would make it out to be, and they come up with all these fancy words and ways, oh, you lack faith and stuff. But really, no, they're just following blindly, And also, you can see in their hearts they're averse to the idea of um, leading a righteous life, submitting to God, worshiping God alone. And they think they can just play and have fun and then utter these words, and their utterances will get them to heaven. I mean, these people are really. I mean, thank God we're not with these people, and it's not to say these people are doomed, but we can see the craftiness of Satan. But he has no power over these people as well, because as we know, he just invites them. And so, if their hearts is filled with disease, they're gonna readily run to and love and accept these invitations. And it's not to say like if you grew up in this stuff or you grew up with hadiths, that's not the same. But like when you come across the truth, they insist they want to. I mean, because you don't know any better. If you grow up with this stuff, you following it. But the people I'm referring to here is they have the truth and then they're still averse to it after it comes their way. And this is as we've just been talking about the arrogance. It doesn't pay off. Um, it's, I mean, it actually does pay, in a sense, but it pays in the negative. 33, the disbelievers, are they waiting for the angels to come to them or until your Lord's judgment comes to pass? Those before them did the same thing. God is not the one who wronged them, they are the ones who wrong their own souls. They have incurred the consequences of their evil works, and the very things they ridicule came back to haunt them. The idol worshippers say, had God willed, we would not worship any idols beside him, nor would our parents, nor would we prohibit anything besides his prohibitions. Those before them have done the same. Can the messengers do anything but deliver the complete message? So the disbelievers, a lot of them are essentially, there's people that are waiting on, like, oh, if the day of judgment comes, like, atheists, for example, they're gonna believe, or they have to see some, but this is not the right way. I mean, we can see they're just wronging their own souls and maintaining their arrogance and opposing the truth, and also, any ridiculing or stuff we go through, or even having, people despise you with their eyes, even if they don't. I think how they did to Noah or something. I remember the verse. Um, you see ridicule in their eyes, and how they despise, even if they don't say it to you. I mean, God will let you know. I mean, but it's not to say like we go looking for the stuff or we make assumptions. But I mean, we can, as humans, we understand, and we can see these things happen. Um, yeah, I mean, it also reminds me of I think one of the brothers here, he shared, like there was a lot of idol worship going on on this party, like a good righteous party. It was like a celebration of marriage, and they were praising Muhammad, and they stood their ground and didn't give in and acquiesce, and despite, and you can also, what these people are thinking too, even if afterwards, I think maybe words were exchanged, or you try telling them bye, and they're just like a reverse. I mean, it's bad what they're doing, and then we can see the way they respond is I mean, it's hurtful too, because but I mean, this is ridicule and stuff that they may not be, but it's floating around in their mind, and that they're harboring these things. So I mean, this is also, being despised and ridiculed in this in this way. It's all, everything's going to come to light. There's not going to be, any injustice. But it's a credit for us, if we steadfastly persevere in this in this manner. And 35, we can see the idol worshippers, they lie and they say, if God willed, we wouldn't have done this. But the thing is, they willed themselves to idol worship. So God isn't gonna, they have free will. So if someone wants to be evil, super evil, and like do all horrible things, it's just a separate example, do all these terrible things to people, or engage in idol worship, or this or that, and they say, oh, had God willed, I wouldn't have done this. No, it's exactly, the system is perfect because you will, and so you wanted to be evil, and so this is what you literally wanted, so you're getting your wish, and then plus, I mean, you don't want to be around these corrupted people. Um, I mean, we as submitters, I mean, these people, there's no injustice, so these people are allowed to be evil, and then they can't blame anybody but themselves, you know. It's like saying, oh, like, you have a serial killer, and they just, and he goes like, oh, well, poor me, like, I just can't stop killing people or murdering people. I mean, like, that's not going to be an excuse. That's not valid. Or like, oh, if like, no, you're allowed to transgress, and I mean, and until you have such a case against you where your eyes, ears, and hands will bear witness. I mean, this is what's right. Hopefully, I'm making sense right there. 36, we have sent a messenger to every community saying, you shall worship God and avoid idolatry. Subsequently, some were guided by God while others were committed to straying. Roam the earth and note the consequences for the rejectors. No matter how hard you try to guide them, God does not guide the ones He had committed to straying. Thus, no one can help them. So every community has their message, and it's one and the same message: worshiping God alone and avoiding idolatry. Um, and there also, we have so many precedents about those who rejected their messengers and roamed the earth arrogantly and transgressed, how they were, they had the inevitable retribution come to them one way or another as the consequence. And then 37 is important too, because we have to keep this in mind. Even the ones you may love, no matter how hard you try to guide them, God does not guide the ones He had committed to straying. Thus, no one can help them. And so these are people who have decided to be bad and decided to, God will help them in the decision. If you want to be evil or decide to be evil, you're helped in such a decision. If you want to, if your heart, if your ear only itches, um, to hear things your heart secretly desires, which, let's say, like falsehood or idol intercession, yeah, you're only going to be open to receiving, because that's what your heart desires, so your ear will only hear that. And and these are God also knows the souls too. So He's the most just. He's the omniscient. He's the one who initiated us and created us. He's the most kind. We get a credit. There's no injustice. We even get 10 credits for a good deed and only one bad credit for a bad deed. Plus, the fact that we're here is also a testament to God's mercy. Um, Deep in their minds, they swore solemnly by God, God will not resurrect the dead. Absolutely, such is His inviolable promise, but most people do not know. He will then point out to everyone all the things they had disputed and will let those who disbelieve know that they were liars. So, it's important too, like, we should never think that, the people who fabricate lies about God are going to get away with it. Like in Surah 10, verse 68, that talks about the gross blasphemy, and the following verse 69 says, proclaim, say, those who fabricate lies about God will never succeed. They only get their temporary share in this world, and in the hereafter we commit them to severe retribution for their disbelieving. So they're just allowed to, Satan just invites these people, and Satan's message will, this is all ties into our test too. Really, it's the kind of like the epitome of our test, right? As we know, there's God's message, and then there's Satan's message, and this is what the demonstration, this is what we all, while we're all here, and we can see most people are failing their test. And the most gracious, is sending down revelations and proofs. In the night of destiny, we got this Quran. It's a beacon in mercy. Because God really didn't have to do this for us, but thank God He did, because we would really, be in a really bad position, if we didn't have the Quran, if we didn't have the purified message and 19 in our messenger to consolidate all messages, and the system's always been the same. There's no other God but God. Yeah, all the disputes, and all the people who disbelieve, who are lying about God, they're, it's like you have a lot of, they're just given a respite, they're just allowed to further convict themselves and condemn themselves even further. If this is what they really gung-ho decided to do is to disbelieve in this manner. And then on the day of resurrection, God will inform them that they're liars. And, all the people they misled by their lying, all the people that they tricked into thinking that, Jesus was this or that, or Muhammad, or whatever. I mean, they're all going to have to be held accountable too for the weight of those people's sins. They're going to also have to have that on their back. To resurrect the dead. To have anything done, we simply say to it be, and it is. But what? I was thinking of one last thing. It's these people of what I was just talking about. It's due to their arrogance, and you might think why? Well, they essentially they want to be their own God. They want to have their own truth. As the Quran, God tells us in the Quran, if the truth conformed to their wishes, everything would be corrupted. There would be nothing pure, nothing good left. And then we also know that most of them hate the truth. So we can see that these people want to invent their own truths and their own logic and reality. They want to essentially come up with, be like, have their own. If the truth doesn't conform, they don't like it, And we can see most people hate the truth. They want some type of idol in their life. They don't like the idea of justice, even if they say they do, because the fact that you believe you're putting the world's sins on another human being who's innocent, for that matter, and then you do all this satanic blood worshiping ritual. I mean, it's the same thing the Satanists do. I mean, but for some, it's righteous. No, it's just Satan is adorning these things in these people's eyes. And I mean, hopefully, I'm not being too harsh in this respect, talking about these things, but for those listening or may listen in the future. But this is a reality, and there's no room for wishy-washiness. There's no room for caking, the truth, if that's if that's even like a figure of speech. But or putting like we're supposed to be real, and this is what we're correcting ourselves, and and God wants a solid friend, I mean, we know this, and we can even see the messenger after the messengership. He said he's being straightforward, and like there's no more like I forget exactly how he put it. Be still kind and good and patient and strong with the people, but there's no there's no wishy-washiness. There are maybe and it's only better for ourselves we get the credit. And if somebody deserves to, somebody's allergic to the truth, that's just too bad for them, But when inviting to the truth, we in the best possible manner, and with kind words and enlightenment, and this that way, the people can, God willing, take heed. But for the disbelievers who are enemies of the Lord, I mean, these are the individuals I'm, mainly been talking about, the people that are averse to the truth, are running from the truth, and that will go as far as to fight the truth. I mean, these are God's enemies, so naturally they're our enemies. And we're supposed to oppose these people and fight back with the truth. Of course, we don't really fight physically today. As we know, we online. So if you see blasphemies, popping up on your media page, then you can fight back in that respect. But we're almost at time, so I'll go ahead and speed up. Those who immigrated for the sake of God because they were persecuted will surely make it up to them generously in this life. And the recompense in the hereafter is even greater if they only knew. This is because they steadfastly persevere, and in their Lord they trust. We did not send before you except men whom we inspired. Ask those who know the scripture if you do not know. We provided them with the proofs and the scriptures, and we sent down to you this message to proclaim for the people everything that is sent down to them, perhaps they will reflect. Did those who scheme evil schemes think that God will not cause the earth to swallow them, or that the retribution will not come to them when they least expect it? It may strike them while they are asleep, they can never escape, or it may strike them while they are fearfully expecting it. Your Lord is compassionate and most merciful. 48. Have they not seen all the things created by God? Their shadows surround them right and left in total submission to God and willingly. So this is what real submission is. We willingly submit, the submission is already decided one way or another, but the disbelievers unwillingly submit. It's just too bad for them. To God prostrates everything in the heavens and everything on earth, every creature, and so do the angels without the least arrogance. So this one has a footnote. The human being, whether it belongs to a believer or disbeliever, submits to God. The heartbeats, the lungs movement, and peristalsis illustrate this submission. Yes, even our eyesight, the fact that our like these incredibly high-tech cameras, much more than that, are able to take in information and just work automatically is just another amazing thing. And it's also all these things submit. God, they reverence their Lord high above them, and they do what they are commanded to do. God is proclaimed, do not worship two gods. There is only one God. You shall reverence me alone. To him belongs everything in the heavens and the earth, and therefore the religion shall be devoted absolutely to him alone. Would you worship other than God? Like people really, they're worshiping nothing when they worship idols and these false gods. Any blessing you enjoy is from God, yet whenever you incur any adversity, you immediately complain to him. Yet as soon as he relieves your affliction, some of you revert to idol worship. So this is, these are, I think, what we would know as bad weather friends. They come to you or wanting your help, but as soon as the bad weather is over, they don't, they go on as if they never even went to you for help, and not just that, they forget about you, but then they go and add insult to injury, in that respect, and then revert to idol worship. And then God is mostly, He still helped these people too, give them chance after chance. So we can appreciate God's mercy here. May God help us and continue to protect us and support us. With this, if there's any comments or questions, please feel free. If I made any mistakes, may God forgive me. Thank you.
Inshallah. Thank you. Study.
Thank you so much.
MashaAllah.
Yeah, mashallah. These verses remind us, that the only thing that's preventing people from becoming righteous and from believing is the fact that they cannot believe in resurrection. Like even if they say with lip service, the fact that their hearts are actually denying it inside is why these people are doing what they're doing. If they truly actually believed in resurrection, like their hearts would be so reverent that They would go for the truth. They would be seeking the truth. Imagine, like, if something so terrible is about to happen, you'll do everything possible to save yourself. But they're just casually satisfied with the idea of idol worship because they don't really care. They don't really believe that they will be resurrected. So they're like, yeah, whatever. Like, you know, it's like anything goes. Like, okay, you want to believe in this idol, you want to believe in that idol, you want to believe in nothing. Everybody has their own ideas, and only if they truly believed. I mean, that's all it takes, really, for these people um, to go astray and to flunk the test, right? And so, and if they can't accept that this will happen, like, just because they can't see it in front of them, it's like we know there is a tomorrow, like, literally, like, today's Tuesday, like, we know Wednesday is coming, you know. Uh, we haven't seen Wednesday, but we know it's coming. It's like going to be a physical fact. But they're not seeing the hereafter in that same respect. They're seeing it like, oh yeah, it's just nonsense, just stuff people have made up. Even though they say it and they go and they preach it to other people, they themselves, don't believe it in their hearts. None of them or their followers, and they end up falling for this type of fancy stuff. And then you can see in verse 35 how these people make up excuses for their idol worship, you know, um, that they blame God for it. They blame God for all the evil that exists, you know. Um, like, I've seen that many times before in many ways, that people will blame God for all the bad things, right? Um, like, uh, people will say, for example, if for example, if you point out to someone who really wants to go with an evil dictator, and they really secretly they like the dictator, and but they won't admit it to you, or some evil tyrant, whoever it is, it doesn't matter. uh, and if you tell them that, like, this is wrong, they say, yeah, but if God wanted, uh, God wants this evil person. They don't say it's evil, but say God wants this person to be in charge. So he's in charge, so just submit. And that's one kind of way, like, people will do that. And then others, like, for example, you see people, for example, when you try to tell them that they should not believe in idolatrous practices that they have inherited from their forefathers, and they say, well, if God wanted, like, we wouldn't be doing it. Like, I've literally heard this thing from people saying, God brought this so and so, and God brought the messenger, and God did this. I mean, why wouldn't God just come and or send someone or do this or do that? Like, they put it on God. But as far as God is concerned, we have a clear message from God, like, worship God alone, follow the Quran alone. Don't associate any idols with God. You obey God and His messenger. And so, these excuses, especially anything connected to idol worship, we know it's going to be nullified, on the day of judgment. So these people, these excuses, they're so famous and contagious, and all these people use it. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's just obviously is not going to help them, right? And and it's all because, like it says in verse 38, deep in their minds, they swear solemnly by God. Like, they believe in God. It says they swore solemnly by God. So in their minds, even they do believe in God, but they don't believe in resurrection. That God will not resurrect the dead. And God says such is an inviolable promise. Like, um, there's nothing that can change it. And that's why we know the exact year it's coming to. Like, on top of that, we have the mathematical proof, and still people don't believe it.
There was this verse that we had read, brother. It was about chapter 43. And in the
Mm-hmm.
chapter, God was talking about Pharaoh and his people. And God was
Mm-hmm.
saying, we gave them what was it? Like he punished them so they could reflect. That is actually like mercy from him, right? Like um, because he could decide to
Mhm.
annihilate them, but instead of that, he
Mhm.
first sends them like difficulties so then they can reflect maybe and think of. And
Mhm.
and I think probably, like that's my opinion, probably
Mhm.
in that group of people, it is possible that there are certain souls that are destined to believe, but like maybe they are afraid to come out and then say, well, like I don't want to follow you, Pharaoh. I believe in Moses, right? Probably, maybe, like that's also possible. And then maybe God is giving them also, like, you understand what I mean? Like, for example, with the
Mhm.
magicians, what happened was they were not afraid of saying that they started believing in the God of Moses. But there could also be some other people that were afraid of saying that. And certain things that are happening could also be done for certain individuals in that group, right? Because God knows
Mhm.
exactly if there is someone that would
Mhm.
believe in it, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So in that case, when God sends a punishment, for example, it's not always, probably not always a bad thing, right? To wake up some certain people and then
Yeah, I
to
mean,
make them
God
believe.
says,
Maybe.
yeah. So the thing is, like, there's other verses, for example, hold on, I'll pull up the verse. So this one, it says, we let them, Surah 32, right? It says, we let them taste the smaller retribution of this world before they incur the greater retribution of the hereafter, that they may take a hint and reform. Right? So, I mean, it's still not a good thing per se, but it's a bad thing for them because they have deserved it because they're heedless. So they're
But for the
getting
ones who
these.
would take heed, it is a good thing.
I
It's
mean,
it's some type of a
it's if
pinch, for
they
example.
I mean, in that sense, in a sense, yeah, I see what you're saying. But in reality, if these people just become righteous, right, these things will not be happening to them, right? And they're not good things per se. Like, for example, you waking up and, getting frogs and lice and blood, in your neighborhood, for example,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be a good thing, but it wouldn't be a good thing because you did some bad things to deserve it, and God is trying. I mean, God is basically giving you a hint. Obviously, I mean, God is not trying. God is giving you a hint by it, because look what you're doing. Like, is this what you want? Like, take a hint and fix yourself before it gets too late. Like, for example, if you end up keep missing your and he wouldn't be having those problems. They're not good things. I mean, obviously they're meant to wake him up, wake a person up, like to tell them to be on the right path. That's a good thing in that sense, but in general, it's not a good thing for you to be stuck in all kinds of problems, like, for example, marital problems, financial
Hmm.
problems, health problems. But
Yeah.
these things will happen to people to try to wake them up until
Yeah.
it's too late.
Yeah, but because yeah, I totally agree, brother. But there are also like examples in the Quran. For example,
Mhm.
in Surah Yasin, where you have these people who silently go to their gardens early
Mhm.
in the morning. Remember, they
Mhm.
talk to each other saying, "Be quiet,
Mhm.
like do it fast," so that, and then
Mhm.
eventually, when they are there, this
Be
wind
quiet, do
struck
it
them.
fast.
Like they want to do it fast, and they want to do it early in the morning. So if someone wants to come and asks them for help, they don't want to give, they don't want to share. Remember this verse? It was in Surah Yasin. The
Yeah,
people
but
who
it
are,
doesn't say. I think
let me
there
see.
is one about the one where they forgot to say God willing.
Sorry?
The
Yeah.
verse that we're talking about the one where they forgot to say God willing.
No, wait, one. Um, I am looking, but this one was in Surah Yasin. Everyone. So they woke up in the morning early. Occasion. They will say woe to us, we reject this. No, this one instead we shall. Yeah, so you have these people who are going to their garden, like to pick up, the goods, and they don't want
Mm-hmm.
others to, they don't want to share.
Well, it doesn't
Uh,
say they don't want to share though in the Quran.
yeah,
What
like
does it
I'm not like I, yeah,
say?
you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
Uh, all needs to carry out any comments. No, it should be there. But you remember this one, right? And then in the end, what happens is they said,
You're
like
talking
they
about Surah
basically say,
68.
"Woe to us that we
That's Surah.
did idol worship."
Yeah,
Like
that's
they,
in Surah. That's in Surah 68, not in Surah
oh,
36.
oh, oh, in 68,
Yeah, it says, um,
60, 68.
and we have tested them like we tested the owners of the garden, who swore that they will harvest it in the morning.
Mm-hmm,
They were
mm-hmm.
so absolutely sure a passing storm from your Lord passed by it while they were asleep. Who passed by it while they were
Yes,
asleep. By morning
yes.
it was barren. They called on each other
They
in the
call each
morning,
other.
let us harvest the crop. On
And
their
then
way,
they
they
confess.
confided in each other that from then on none of them will be poor. They were so
Okay.
absolutely sure of their
Oh
harvest, but
yeah.
when they
Yeah.
saw it, they said, we were so wrong. Now we have nothing. The righteous among them said, if only you had glorified God.
Mm-hmm.
They said,
Then they
glory to
said,
our Lord, we have transgressed. They
yes.
started to blame one another. They said,
They have
woe
good
to us,
times we
we
sinned.
sinned. May our Lord grant us a better
Yes.
one. We repent to our
So
Lord.
they repent,
Mhm.
right? Yeah. So
Yeah,
this is
such
an
was the
example of.
requital. And it says such
Mm-hmm.
was the requital, but the retribution of the hereafter is far worse if they only knew. So it's not a blessing in that sense. Like it's a punishment. You know, for these people. And like you can imagine it. For example, in school, if you don't do your homework, let's say you're
You're
getting
still
some
going
kind
to
of
get a
fine, you
low
get
degree.
detention. No, you're gonna get a detention. Let's
Oh,
say,
and the
you know, so detention is not a good thing, but it's a kind of a deterrent for you to work hard, to not be lazy and be a slacker, right?
mm-hmm.
To continue and work hard. But still, some people will still flunk, despite getting detentions, and
Mm-hmm.
they'll get detentions and they don't care, and at the end they flunk the test,
Yeah,
flunk the class, basically.
yeah, yeah, definitely, brother. Like, I definitely agree on that. But like the thing why I am thinking in this certain way is like,
Hmm.
when you look at what happened in in what is it called, the heavenly, when
Hmm.
when there were souls who were actually not meant to go to hell, and only for that specific group of souls which didn't really deserve to hell, God actually created everything, like the earth and everything that has been done, because the messenger talks about this, and he basically says that everything that has been done, the test, the devil giving some time until the end of this world, um, it's actually meant to save those souls, because God is like the most merciful. You see, like
Hmm.
he knew that there were certain souls that were destined to go to heaven. So that's why he, because of his mercy, did all these things. So like in the sense what you're saying, I agree. Those souls who didn't really were like the angels steadfastly believed that only God could be God, but they were like, and this is some type of a punishment, like coming to this world and going through all these difficulties and having the idea that you don't even know if you're going to make it or not, like that's really heavy actually, right? But in the end,
Except for
eventually.
people who are actually going to make it, right? So yeah,
Mhm.
so like for example, like you can say, for example, a blessing in disguise is like how it's described from the
For
messenger
the
when he talks
righteous
about
ones.
the four types of disaster, right? He talks
Hmm.
about the blessing in disguise. It's like it looks like a disaster, but it's not, because it turns out to be good in the end for you. Like you not getting a job, and then you look back and you found out, oh, thank God, like I didn't get that job. If I got that job, I wouldn't end up getting this other job, which was better for me, right?
Yeah,
But
the
for
example of
example,
Moses,
yeah,
brother,
but for
when they go
example,
to travel.
yeah, yeah, but for example, like the example I gave you of the floods and the locusts and the lice and the frogs,
Hmm.
right? Those are not good things in the sense, and they were not blessings.
Hmm. Yeah, I know.
because they were a hint for
There
the
was real
people.
punishment.
Yeah, and it was a hint for the people to reform. And if they don't, they're gonna go to hell, basically, you know. So, so in that sense, it's a mercy from God. I mean, God is so merciful, you know. But it's
Hmm.
not really a blessing. You know? Like I can't say that there were, wow, it's such a blessing
They
from
were
God. We
blessed.
had
Yeah.
Yeah,
stars beaming
I
early in
think
the morning. We
I
had
think
stars
like
beaming.
yeah, inherently those things aren't good. Like if you go through something and then like maybe it's hard to explain or I don't want to explain it, but like uh like you go through some stuff or you see these things and then it's not fun. It's like it's extremely alarming and scary. That in of itself isn't good. I mean, like, because there's a lot of mental load and burden and stuff. But what is good, my understanding is like the blessing part is you being allowed to believe or to be like getting the message. Like that's the good part. That God um
What about
has
the example?
because you know
Uh,
there's awesome. There's a lot of people that get like wake up calls, but they don't do anything with them or they don't take heed. But the wake up calls itself isn't like good. But I think the thing that is good about it is if you know the person gets the hint and then they decide to submit to God. That's a blessing. You know, like if they decide to submit.
mhm,
But the thing itself that led you there that acted as a hint or wake up call um, is a mercy, but it's that the thing of itself. Really, we could also say it didn't have to happen. Like it didn't have to be that
mhm.
way.
What about
But we got ourselves into a situation, and then God is most merciful and wants to save us.
Yeah, like that really makes sense, brother. The only thing, like, I was also thinking about, for example, the example with Moses and when he was traveling, right? And then um, was the death of this child, of this family, was that a punishment for that family, or was it a blessing from God? And like, for example, um, yeah, like the ship, for example, he destroyed partially the ship that prevented
yeah? So that
pirates
was
from
a
taking
blessing.
it, right? Yeah, that's
Those were
definitely.
those were
What
blessings.
about the child, for example?
Yeah, that
Was
was
also a
also a
blessing.
blessing because the
Yeah,
child
that's
was
what we
kind of,
learn, right?
yeah.
Yeah, but was it painful for them in the beginning, losing their child, right? Like it should be. That's what I at least think, right?
Yeah,
Like
but
in a way.
that's the idea, right? Like for example, when you don't get a job, I don't know if you ever applied for a job, Jaffer, because you work for yourself. But if you apply for a job, you know, and you really want the
Yes,
job, you know,
I
and
can try.
it's probably been a long time.
yeah. So if you you know apply for a job, you really want to get the job, you know, and you're looking forward to it, and then you don't get the job, you know, you feel rejected, you feel like not good in yourself, you know, you feel like a failure
Oh,
or
not
something.
anymore.
You know, it's not a good feeling.
Not
No,
anymore.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying it's not a good feeling. Let's say you want to enter some kind of team or some kind of competition or something, you
Yeah.
know, and you
Hmm.
get refused. You know, being rejected is not a good feeling in itself, too. For example,
Hmm.
you know, and you like when oh, it's such a great opportunity. The benefits were so good. The salary was so good. It was something I really
Hmm.
wanted to work in. You know, whatever, you know, and it doesn't end up happening, right? For a good reason because God knows, you know. And the same
Hmm.
way, like, but you know, if you have a really bad child, like you is giving you a misery every day, yeah, I mean, you're definitely gonna feel something, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, maybe for a mother it's gonna be worse, you know, because mother has a physiological bond also, you know, with than the father probably, but you know, both of them will definitely, but
Mm.
you know, it's good for them. God knows what's
It's
good
going
for
to be
them,
painful.
and yeah, God knows what's good for them, and when they get a righteous child, you know, God substitute the righteous child for them, they forget about that pain, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah. like for
Afterwards, yeah.
yeah, exactly, like for example, like when I got divorced, I was really not sad right away, but like obviously there was something to feel, like something was happening, right? Like it was a bit unsettling, in a lot of ways. It was just not the wife, it was the children too, same thing, right? But when God substitutes it with something better, then that reason goes away, and then you look back and you realize, wow, that was a real blessing from God. If I
Hmm.
even ever knew that this was what my life is going to be afterwards, like I would have been looking forward to it.
Hmm.
So I would assume that relating to something like that, from my own personal experience, like would be a joyous thing, like, you know eventually when you look back, same with the work, like you didn't get that, but then you got something even better, and you'd be like, oh my god, like if I had accepted that position, like I would be miserable, and I would not get this extremely fantastic opportunity that was waiting for me. Like I had no idea what I was going to miss, but God sees these things, and he controls our life. But the example of frogs in life, that's inherently a bad thing to wake someone up, so it's
Definitely.
not exactly easy.
Yeah, what I most of the times have is like I apply to a lot of projects, and then there are like sometimes it's very nice and good projects that I think like, oh, if that project was ours, and then like we
Mm-hmm.
could make such an amazing thing out of it. And
Mm-hmm.
then you get this email, or the customer calls you and they say, yeah, we chose someone else, like
Mm-hmm.
before I found it really hard, because it's like you lose actually a lot if you don't get like a huge
Mm-hmm.
project. So, but right now, every time when I don't take a project, like I immediately know, like this is
Mm-hmm.
definitely for the best.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah.
definitely, it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
hurt anymore, Suleiman.
Mm-hmm. No, but sometimes like you
Losing
don't
so
know,
much
right?
money.
Yeah, but sometimes you don't know. I mean, you don't see the future, right? And sometimes you'd even doubt yourself. Oh,
Yeah.
did I do something wrong? Like, why didn't I get it?
Hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but this is also a good thing that, and right now, after discussing and talking about this topic, for example, one of the things that comes to my mind is like, God is giving like so much examples in the Quran about things that happened, and then we talking about these subjects, and then examples of like the example of Moses, or the other thing with the people who went to there, like it gives a very good idea of what God means, right? Like what he meant
Mm-hmm.
by these topics.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, mashallah.
It helps indeed, mashallah.
SubhanAllah. I mean, that's why, yeah, God wants us to talk about these things and discuss them, share our perspectives with each other. And that's how we learn, really, like I've attended Quran studies, and, for as long as I can remember, where a lot of it is just about reading verses, and people don't really get to talk about the verses. Either they don't talk about the verses at all, or they talk about something completely like their own personal opinions, but mashallah, like I really appreciate the fact that we have these studies where we get to have conversations, peaceful conversations, in depth discussions about the verses, which helps us learn, mashallah. John and I were discussing it the other day also. Like, I feel that, God really increases our knowledge this way. Like, this is how, we're supposed to have our Quran studies, um, and this is what helps us grow in our submission,
Uh,
and helps
yeah,
us learn.
I think. Yeah. I think, brother, mashallah, it can't be understated because just from what I've witnessed in the past 3 years, there's been like some really severe, like not like tests that I've gone through, and I hear things in the Quran study, and I learn, and I mean, if you pass it, like God is the one who helped you and did it for you, but the way you arm yourself, you know, like what how to apply, the message and submission to your life is these things, and I've probably uh, Yeah, I mean, just thinking about it, like the most of the growth, I would say, too. Um,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the growth and understanding.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's
Yeah.
important.
Mm-hmm.
Mashallah, it's a blessing, really.
Inshallah.
You can also join the WhatsApp group, Suleiman. They talk about if they can pray
WhatsApp
behind
group?
an atheist. Yeah,
Which WhatsApp group?
there is this WhatsApp group. They're discussing if submitters can pray behind
Oh,
an
I don't want to join
atheist.
this crazy groups.
You don't want to join?
Yeah,
Go. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Like
Like,
I feel like it's a fine line, like with these people.
hmm
But I'm sorry, bro.
yeah, yeah. I mean, this is something we've. I mean, at least I have talked about, and they have been discussing these for years. Like the idea of praying behind, like these are just innovations. For example, like God tells us to be with the submitters. He tells us to be with the believers. You know, avoid being with the hypocrite.
Yeah, honestly, like
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah.
They they don't want to they don't want to give up, so they'll talk themselves
Mm-hmm.
into doing these give up, so they'll talk themselves
Mm-hmm.
into doing these things, or just talk
Mm-hmm.
themselves up. And like it also, I think it becomes for these people, it's a fine line between like vain talk and what they're doing, with
Mm-hmm.
each other, and just constantly not for the one like where if you correct them or tell them no, but that's actually striving,
Mm-hmm.
and like you get
Mm-hmm.
credit
Yeah.
for yourself, and then other people can hear. But like what they're doing is vain talk. Like it's kind of like if somebody, I think we've seen it before. I haven't seen it too much, but like if somebody is like, oh, can we like like on the way to the Friday prayer, is it okay if we bring a turtle with us in our book sack? And like, can you listen? Like, okay, like, what do you, like, can you listen to, like, okay, like, what are you, like, what are you doing? Like, why are you complicated?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's like, what are you
Yeah,
doing, man? Like, why are you
yeah,
complicated?
because also
That's kind of
it
what they
also
do,
goes,
you know?
yeah, and it also goes back to the fact that they don't draw the line about the Quran, like they don't draw the line about Quran alone. So then, yeah, they were going to talk about it. Like, does it say that in the
Right.
Quran you
That's,
can't bring your turtle in a
yeah,
book sack?
that makes
Yes.
sense.
It doesn't say anything about
Yeah.
that, so you can, right? But they don't know that.
Yeah, the box turtles make
Yeah, yeah,
actually
no.
good,
What
kind
did
of
the
good
messenger
pets.
say? Like, what did the messenger say about that?
Yeah.
We spent 20 minutes talking about what the messenger said about bringing turtles in the book sack.
Yeah. Yeah.
Animals, animals.
Cat. Yeah,
Oh,
funny.
was it that
Yeah, yeah, something like that. Yeah,
that thing where the cats?
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
like a jumpy sound.
like it's crying. Oh, that actually works. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
so many people use that on their cats, and their cats would like do all
Mm-hmm.
these different things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
funny.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, mashallah, thank God for His blessings. Thank God for Quran studies and um, for allowing us to be able to agree on following the Quran alone as it's supposed to be, as we learn from the Quran, as we have been taught by God's messenger, in his Quran studies. I mean, it cannot, like you said, like, it cannot be understated.
Mhm.
Can't emphasize enough of his blessings. Like, this is one of his biggest blessings for us, mashallah, and we will know in the hereafter, I mean, how much these things actually have helped us, like when we understand the value of submission, the
Mhm.
value of our growth, inshallah. So,
Yeah. The messenger talks about, how heavy, like, for example, one prayer
hmm
is, And then he
Mhm.
gives an example of a truck, and he says like one truck can take like 20 tons of weight. And then
Mhm.
like, and he says like in the hereafter we are going to see that, like we are really going to see how big it was
Mhm.
actually one prayer, or remembering God,
Mhm.
how heavy that was compared
Mhm.
to like this in this
Mhm.
world. Exactly what
Yeah,
you said, bro.
exactly. Yeah, and he also talks about, for example, like you will be happy when you see, for example, like from the Night of Destiny, that you will see that you said, let's say, like the number of times you commemorated God, is more than you know, so
A
some other
thousand
person, for
mites.
example, and you understand, what a blessing that was. I mean, I'm kind of paraphrasing. I kind of butchered it a little bit, but something along those lines. In the Night of Destiny, he said, you know, um,
Mhm.
thank God.
By the way, did we read
Mashallah. Yeah.
Focusing.
1632, John?
Did we read
Did
1632?
Yeah,
Uh, yes,
was
yes, we
yeah, it was
did.
part. Yeah, because there it says the angels terminate their lives in a state of righteousness. And
Mm-hmm.
before that, it talks about the death for disbelievers. The angels put them to death in a state of wronging their souls. So, like, does the idea of Azrael, we don't see the name Azrael in the Quran. Does this come from the Bible? Only from the Bible, or does it also come from somewhere else? Like, because it's really clear when you read the Quran that there are so many verses where God speaks about angels terminating the lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm.
and
Yeah,
like before I
there's
became
the
a
one.
submitter, I yeah, so before I became a submitter, I always believed that you have only one, because this is something that is taught to us in mosques, that there is only one angel who takes lives, and that's the angel Israel. So where does this come from? Like, is it only from the Bible?
Well, I know it's probably in the Hadith also,
Oh, okay, yeah.
but in the
Mm.
Quran, we
Yeah, it
have
might be. It might be in the Bible, but we know Michael and Gabriel are two archangels. I mean, if there is an archangel, Azrael, then there is, but we don't know. I mean, but yeah, I mean, maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but we do know, like you said, brother, that the angels, like, there's not just one angel
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that puts everybody to death.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Yeah, and again, if let's say there was specific angels for everybody, like the same angel had to go and take everybody, like, um, and he had a name, like if it was relevant, like to us, like God would tell us the name of the angel, but knowing the name or not, is not going to help us. What would actually help us would be,
right.
our actions, So that's why it, it, we have all the details, mashallah, that we need from God.
In Surah 13, they take turns staying with you and guarding you in
Mm-hmm.
the accordance with
Yeah.
their Lord's command.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
Mm, Brother, okay, maybe this is out of topic now. Mm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, this was about a profound miracle. Divine manipulation of the computer produces correct results regardless of human errors. From which book is this? You know this, or the appendix?
Sorry. What
And
was it
he
again?
says, I'm reading now. Yeah, it says, back in 1968, I developed the
Mm-hmm.
hypothesis that perhaps the Quran's mysterious alphabets, ALM,
Mm-hmm.
Q, and TS, possesses specific distribution patterns within Quran. To test this
Mm-hmm.
hypothesis, I wrote the whole Quran into the computer using English symbols for each Arabic
Mm-hmm.
character. The first
Mm-hmm.
output from the computer was published in 1972 in my book entitled Miracle of Quran, Significance of the Mysterious Alphabets.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, do we have this book? And
I
secondly,
don't think we have this book.
okay,
We have the
sec,
one we have is this visual representation,
mhm. Yeah, and
and
then
yeah, and we have the computer speaks.
it goes on. What I learned from that work was that the Quran's mysterious initials occurred in their surahs at the highest frequency.
Where are you reading that from?
This is from a profound miracle, divine manipulation of the computer produces correct results regarding
No, where are you
miracle
reading
of.
that from?
Yeah, this is from, let me see. Oh, this is from masjidtucson.org. So I wrote down,
No,
uh,
what is it? Is it an appendix or what is it?
uh, I don't know, maybe it is. It is under the subtitle Miracle. Home Miracle. And then it's on Miracle. The simple fact, let me see. You remember last time, let me see. Yeah, a profound miracle. It's on Miracle. And I wanted to know, like, is this also in our website? I knew nothing about the number 19 at the time. In retrospect, the number 19 was all over the place, as seen now on the pages of that first book, but it was just God's will that we see it. And then he keeps on talking about what concerns me in this article is that the frequency of the letter Nun, where it occurs as an initial surah, it appears in those first computer data, etc. You have this one, brother?
We have what is in Appendix 1 about the initials, right?
Hmm.
And then the visual representation of the Quran. So I don't know where this text is from exactly, but I mean, we have the same information though about the initials from the
Yeah,
messenger.
okay. So, yeah, so if this is truly from the messenger of the covenant, and if this is true, here he says like occurred in their surahs at the highest frequency.
Yeah,
You
that
understand that?
part I don't
Yeah.
remember reading the book, but I mean, God
Hmm.
knows.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
That's what we were referring to last time.
Sorry?
Right? I'm eating at the same time. I said that was you what you were referring to in a previous study, right?
Yeah, and I really remember this was either from a
Mm-hmm.
video or from a voice recording.
Mm-hmm.
Like it seems to me so clear that he was saying this.
Mm-hmm.
He clearly says like all of the verses except for chapter 36, Yasin. Except in that, the letters don't occur in the highest frequency. But in all the other ones, it does.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, y- yeah. I think maybe that is not the most significant aspect of
Yeah, yeah,
the
and yeah. Not because it
initials.
is, of course, yeah.
Yeah. So, but what the key thing that he found was the frequencies of the initials being multiples of 19.
Yes, yes.
Right. And that's the
It was only the
major part.
first clue, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a clue.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
Uh,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
something peculiar about this text.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah.
Brother Suleiman, you making some coffee?
No, I'm just to put something in the microwave.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
why.
I know.
It sounded like the espresso machine.
Yeah, I know the coffee I
Okay.
had before this one.
Oh, mashallah.
Mhm. Yeah, thank God. No, we're so lucky to have all this research from the messenger of the covenant um, at our fingertips, and having that assurance. Like I was just having fun the other day with like AI. Like I was talking to it. I'm like, how would you feel? I was asking like, how would you feel, as a submitter, knowing that I asked about the mathematical miracle. She said I'm an AI. Like I don't feel. I was like, okay, pretend you're a submitter. How would you feel? And it said if I was a submitter, like I would feel a sense of because now I can just talk to it from wherever, like in my room, because the speaker, so it's more convenient. It's like talking to a person. I was like, yeah, if I was a submitter, I would have a great sense of calm and peace, knowing that everything is in God's divine control and He's the most just. And he started talking like a submitter.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Did you,
mashallah.
by the way,
So,
did you, by the way, saw the
uh,
message I sent in the group?
yeah, I read it, mashallah. It was nice.
Oh, that was really amazing. Like it was
Yeah.
so,
Hmm. Yeah.
like
Yeah,
eventually
it's
it gives
yeah,
up.
go ahead.
Hmm?
Used up?
Yeah, like in the beginning, it's like it is more critical. Like in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, it says, yeah, like there are some mistakes, or like he was trying to he was trying to fit the Quran into his own calculations, like, and when he saw that certain things didn't fit, so he decided to remove them. And then it says, for example, in chapter 9 verse 200, 128 and 129, he removed those because it didn't fit his calculations, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then I kept on saying, like, that makes it even more impossible, because it is so interlocked, and like it's so complex that you can't just decide to take out two verses in the middle of the Quran with like multiple sentences and multiple words, and then and suddenly make everything happen. Like this is even
Mm-hmm.
more impossible than you understand, like
Mm-hmm.
adding something into it. Like
Mm-hmm.
why would he delete them instead of try to, maybe he could also say, okay, listen, we have two missing verses actually, and I have those, and it's like proclaimed to me, right? Like that would be even easier than remove,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
if
Also, if
you
you look at like, uh,
yeah, brother, go ahead.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish.
Yeah, like what I want to say, if you would change the words into letters and geometrical values of these letters and words, then you end up having like a very long digits of numbers that you need to like remove from all over the Quran. Like it doesn't really make sense. And then when you give this information, then it starts to understand that it is indeed very impossible to make that happen. So eventually, that was the point where he admitted accepting that this is impossible, and the only way out is like to accept that this book is sent by God. That was the whole point of it, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
but this is also one of the things is, when you discuss with people, they use the same excuse. They say, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he threw out those two verses because it didn't fit, and then like this is
Mm-hmm.
blasphemy. But if you would think, like if they would have put like a few more minutes thought
Mm-hmm.
into it, like does it really make sense that when you are doing a calculation in the Quran, and then only because it doesn't fit you, then you need to choose and then remove two
Mm-hmm.
verses? Like this, like it's, if you
Yeah.
would think about
I
it,
mean,
like this is crazy.
if he had to, because, if he was really trying to tell you, like, he would not remove just a few verses. He would be removing a lot of verses here and there, to try to tell you. Like, if it was another book, like if I gave you some book that I wrote and I say, okay, go ahead now, try to find a mathematical miracle in it. Yeah, you'd rip it apart.
Yeah.
Try to find a miracle, and you still wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I was reading the other day, like on all the verses. So Surah 9 has 100, with the two false verses is 129 verses. But if you look at all the other chapters with 129 verses, or that have a verse, I forget exactly what the table, but that was a miraculous in of itself, because then um you realize, like, when you line them up and then you add them and then you subtract the two, you clearly know, like, just from a mathematical point, like, if you're just like the same way you'd build a building, and if you don't want the building to collapse, you have to remove these two extra pieces, or else it's gonna cause a shift point, and then your structure's not stable. So it was the same thing. You realize just these two verses are fabrications. It's like you have like a lock in a door, and then someone, like breaks off a key inside the lock, and you have to remove it, right, to be
Mhm.
able to open the door and then get the treasure on the other side. I mean, that's
Mhm.
what I mean. Not even that. Like, I mean, the contact prayers. All the verses. I don't think the AI probably doesn't understand. You can't explain, I think, to the AI. even if you put the Quran in it, like it can't fathom like all the
You can
words and
discuss.
verses. Yeah, like the for just the contact prayers, the surah numbers and the verse numbers. I mean, you
Hmm.
line them all up; they're all multiple. It produces this enormous number that's a multiple of 19. I mean, our prostrations, our contact prayers. I mean, this it's like a giant Rubik's cube, and there's a literary and mathematical part.
Yeah, but at the
Um,
point when you discuss it with AI, like for example, in the beginning, it doesn't like, and I think the reason is because you know when you use AI, it uses actually basically electricity. It uses energy to do certain things for you. Like it needs to analyze certain information, right, which is available there.
right.
So
Yeah. So
and
it doesn't
then
use
it's
resources.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
It's
it
pretty
doesn't.
lazy.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like built in a certain way that it's not going to analyze everything and then come with an answer to you. Like it's really
Right.
fast, and then it tries the fastest way to give you an answer. So, but when you start discussing certain things with it, at the moment when you're discussing them and you're talking and you give him information or asking more questions, then it actually goes on doing more analytic work. So eventually it comes to a point where it has certain amount of information, and with that information it can say certain things, right? For example, it can say, yeah, like this is really, we are really at the point that I agree with you. It's really impossible for a human being 1400 years ago, when there is not even like computers, definitely not around.
Yeah. I like how
Like
it says,
yeah,
and you can't backspace. You know, there's
yeah,
no
that was
chance.
amazing.
And then
Yeah, right.
there's I never thought about it like that. And then
Yeah,
there's
it's
events
logic.
like there's like the great the groomer, like when they invented those that I don't know if they call it a blasphemy. It probably is a blasphemy, because it
Mhm,
was so bad. But how they lied about Muhammad's wife. I mean, you can't just change that, or you can't. I mean, that's like these actual real events that were addressing different things. You know,
mhm.
in Surah 111, Thorns, the Abu, what was his name? Abu Lahab, and then his
Abu
wife
Lahab,
who
yeah.
led the persecution. You know, it's like you can't. I mean, it's like subhanallah. You know, like it's all
Mhm.
planned and
By the
constructed by
way,
God, and knows that God knows that. I mean, He is knower of the future, and so He knows like where we'll be in 2 years, what chair we'll be sitting in. You know,
mhm.
like what color shorts or socks we'll be wearing. You know,
Yeah, and by the way, like when about his wife, like there was this one thing I was listening to the discussion. Like there is this Arabic discussion that he has with these certain Arab people, and then they're talking about, and they want him to give them information about, like for example, the prayers, etc. But one of the things I wanted to ask actually is like the marriage that the Prophet did with Aisha. um like in the Quran we don't have this, right? We don't have information about him marrying daughters of Abu Bakr. This is like historical information, right? But the Messenger of the Covenant, he talks about it, and he says, like at that time, he didn't marry her, but it was they were signed to each other,
right,
right?
right,
But
yeah.
eventually, this information, like that, about Aisha, is not from the Quran, right? We can, because people use this a lot against the Prophet. Like they say he married like a child, and but when
Oh,
you look
believe me,
at the Quran,
I've heard of it, and it irks me. Like, but
yeah, like
usually I don't try. Like, if someone wants to be evil and insist, like I won't even try. Explain. I mean, I'll correct them depending on like if they're like just trying to argue, like, oh, you follow something, blah 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 blah, or if they're like, well, what about this? Like, it just depends on how they're
but can we
approaching.
say, but okay, but can we say that even if like the Messenger of the Covenant has spoken about this topic, he has spoken about it, right? Like we have this in the videos. Even if he has spoken about it, the exact information about his marriage is not in the Quran. Like, and the reason why I'm saying this is not like we shouldn't. Mm, there should be a reason why it's not in the Quran, right? Like there must be a reason why God didn't mention that topic, for example, because He knew that people are going to use this to, again, to use it against Prophet Muhammad, and to give him certain names, and a lot of people are not going to accept Islam because this is the way how they are going to be introduced to Islam. And lately, when you look at the news, especially in the USA, like they're really using this. They say, yeah, he married the child, so like, and they give this bad name to him. And then yeah, we don't see anything in the Quran about him marrying a small. He didn't eventually, but there is no information about. So does this mean like
I
we
mean,
can say, yeah, but we
too,
don't
he
know?
didn't have. He was the messenger. Also stated like he was. There wasn't polygamy. Like people tend to think it and take it out of context. Again, he was married like according to God's system. Up until I think maybe what was it? His wife passed away,
Khadija,
or up
yes, his
until
wife
age.
Khadija died.
Yeah, like that was like that's how he set the example on how we're supposed to be,
Yes, yes.
and like literally people that go looking for reasons just to have multiple wives, even if they talk to like, I mean, today, I mean it's very, I'd have a hard time, finding somebody or agreeing with their like if they decide to do that because I mean we're not in wars and. I mean, maybe there is a situation, but it even says, you can never be more equitable but anyway, but back to what you were saying, I think, I mean, we know he talked about just the historical aspect, like with Omar and what happened after the division, like how the idol worshippers that wanted to commemorate Muhammad,
Hmm.
how they went to war with her. I think they killed Muhammad's,
Hmm.
what was his nephew, Ali, or something?
Hmm. Yes. Yeah, but actually, the reason where it comes from and where it started, actually, this question is basically when Dr. Rashad was having this discussion, debate with these Arabs, they were specifically asking about how many rakats every contact prayer had. And the messenger was like telling them like this comes from Abraham. It's not like it was already
Right.
established, right? It was already established. People already knew how many rakats. So there was no reason for God to give them the exact rakats because it was already known and it was the right rakats, right? This was his.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I think, like, I'm not really sure, but I think that at the moment when he was doing this debate, the Ministry of the Covenant didn't had the mathematical evidence, which what you mentioned with the rakats and tashahuds and all of them adding up to multiples of 19. Because if he had those, he would, or like for example, when you 2 4 4 3 4, this is like the Fajr and then the noon prayer, afternoon, right? The rakats. This also is a multiple of 19, 2 4 4 3 4. Like this was the first mathematical evidence that the rakats were right. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and I think he didn't had that at the moment. He did because he didn't. At least this is what I think. Yeah, it's like my opinion. So in this debate, he doesn't mention that, and because he doesn't mention it, I thought he doesn't have that information yet. It wasn't delivered to him yet. You see, like that's
Mhm.
why he couldn't say the noon prayer has 4 rakats, because in this mathematical system, when you do this and this and that, and you add this and that, like all of them add up to multiples of 19, and this is the mathematical evidence, and we can see this mathematical evidence throughout the whole Quran, for example. Yeah, so and then he didn't have certain information, and when you look at the videos, in the late videos, like when you go to 1989, 1990 especially, he starts actually repeating the message about like we only accept what is in the Quran. Like if it's not in the Quran, then we don't
Mhm.
accept it. Like it's not relevant, or like you can talk about it, of course, like as a historical situation, what happened with Ali and Abu Bakr, and about the marriage of the Prophet. But can we then say,
Mhm.
since it's not in the Quran, like why is it relevant? You understand what I mean? Like
Right.
What about the
Yeah.
marriage?
I'm not sure. Hmm?
Well, we know that. that's not true.
Like
First of all,
specifically about Aisha. That's the
yeah,
whole.
so that's not true. That's not true because we know that for submitters, like you need mutual attraction, right? And you can't have mutual attraction like when you're a 9-year-old child, for example. Like you have to, and the messenger talks about it. Like you have to reach an age, like at least
It's called Rashid,
10
the
years
age
or
of
so
Rashid.
after puberty. You
Hmm.
know, like 10 years or so, like for you to be psychologically mature. It's not about
Mhm.
like
Hmm.
your body
To be
to
able to
your,
sign a contract.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
not
it's
just physiologically, but yeah, like you
mm,
said, psychologically, it has to
Also
be both.
psychologically, yeah.
and
So yeah,
emotionally.
you have to kind of be older, like in
Hmm. Yeah,
maybe
like 20,
19, 20.
21.
Yeah, I think 20 is like is probably the
Mm-hmm.
best.
Hmm. Yeah,
Hmm.
'Cause even
yeah,
at 18, 19, you're
yeah.
still
A
like
child.
still
Yeah,
very
yeah.
Yeah.
young. Yeah,
Hmm.
you still might be messing up or
Hmm.
doing bad or doing
Yeah,
goofy
like
things.
that's
Doing
why
bad.
you have the
The
like
year of making
age of
mistakes.
drinking is 21.
Yeah.
No, not age of drinking. What's
Wait,
the
what,
21?
brother? What did you say, Suleiman? I couldn't hear you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I couldn't hear
21
you
is
too.
the age for what?
Oh, 21. What about it?
What's the? I mean, there's
Oh yeah,
like
the age for like being able to purchase alcohol because like
right.
the age where you can actually drink, like they believe
Mm-hmm.
like you can they I guess it's
Mm-hmm.
scientific back, but like if you drink before 21 or buy it, like you can't do it responsibly, because you're not
Mm-hmm.
as developed. So
Mm-hmm.
like we know alcohol is bad and it's intoxicating
Mm-hmm.
and prohibited, but I
Yeah.
mean all drugs are, but like that
Yeah.
also shows
Yeah.
that the decision making and stuff, even before 21,
Mm-hmm.
you're not all
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Brother Jafar, like the president here is wants to reduce the age of marriage to 14.
No, really.
What a sick, yeah. He's talking about the Trump.
Because he's in these
Yeah.
files.
Yeah.
He's already in this file.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like this
Because
is crazy.
they kind of
Yeah,
run away from the law.
yeah, back
They
in
just
2018, I was seeing things like I saw a TED talk about how they're trying to legalize pedophilia. I mean, it's sick. Like I don't think. I mean, like these are horrendous crimes, and we know what the Quran says. Like for these
mm,
people,
They want to do
that
this also in Israel.
they'll do it again. Whether it's in jail or in prison. So
mm-hmm. Yeah,
they have to
and
be
some
taken or
states.
killed or crucified to set
Mm-hmm.
the example. So these other
Yeah.
evil people wouldn't even
Mm,
fathom getting an idea
yeah.
of following
Yeah,
their footsteps.
believe it or not, in some states, like at least one of them, they actually passed that law because someone who was related to, the official in the government was accused of, having, sex with a minor, and so to get him out of
Get them
jail,
off. Yeah.
get him off the hook, like he actually passed a law there, in that state.
Wow.
I forgot which state it was. So now their legal age for consent is 14.
Mm.
Just
They're trying to do it in the states. May God protect us.
Yeah, definitely. By the way, Suleiman, when you ask AI certain questions about submission, like
Hmm.
almost every time it also takes information from our website. Like it takes also from certain other websites like Quranics.
Hmm.
Then you have, of course, this Masjid Tosa and that kind of stuff. But in most of the
Hmm.
times when I see the sources,
Hmm.
like our website is in the list, mashallah.
Oh, mashallah.
mashallah, that's good.
Yeah.
Submission.ws.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Fine.
think I was even like a year ago or something. I was talking to it about the smoke, and it was I think it pulled up getting ready for the smoke, or maybe the original smoke article.
Good.
Hmm. Oh, it was getting that too?
I wanted to like implant like this stuff in it, so I was like pasting the links for it, and then at a later
Hmm.
time, I think I tested it because I was like we
Hmm.
found some new information, and then it I think it was able to scrape that
Hmm.
somehow. But yeah,
Yeah, I
even if
mean
you
that.
search,
Yeah, that would be I mean, that would be limited to you, but in general, like I guess it might be different. But yeah, I was just gonna say like Gemini is a lot better um, right now, Brother Jeffrey. I don't know which one you're using.
Yeah,
Um,
Gemini. I use mostly Gemini.
Gemini. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, because it has much more data
yeah,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
of
okay.
Google.
Here's the thing, like I was talking with Suleiman the other night about it, but yeah, Gemini. So what I've noticed, because I've asked like some very specific repairs and or upgrades to a vehicle, and it was able to give me very, very specific information like that I
Mm-hmm.
highly doubt GBT was. But I think where I mean maybe this is just what I've noticed just with this one thing because I was talking to it for about 3 4 hours off and on. GBT, I think like understands like maybe it's the memory or maybe I need to get the paid version of Gemini, but it's much better. Like I still find at knowing like what my intentions are and like where I'm at and remembering something from the past conversation and being able to converse it where Gemini is will give you better information, but it's I
Well,
forget how
because
it
you haven't spent enough time with it. That's why. Like, it hasn't gotten to know those things about you probably as much because you have been using it for over a year
Mhm.
now.
You need to
right.
delete or tell him to forget about certain things that you have asked or added. Like, yeah, it
No,
works.
if you want to
No, no,
compare
no. I'm
apples.
saying like GBT understands like the conversational aspect with GBT. I'm still feel is very but I haven't. I'm using the free Gemini, so that's probably I think that's part of the issue. But like I asked it for something, and then it gives me an answer, and then it like starts bringing up these like these shops, these diesel shops, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like I didn't. We talked about this earlier. We were on the same page. It like answered a question I didn't ask, and but I think I'm using the low resource version. But as far as information goes, yeah, it is better.
Mhm. It
It's
may give
like
you
there's
more
these so
information, but
specific
sometimes you can
nuances.
customize it. You can
Uh,
it can learn over time. For example, your preferences and stuff. Like
yeah,
as it gets to know you more, like things it
right.
will learn in its memory. Also, like I said, like you said, you're using the free version. If you use the other version, it's not gonna make a huge difference, probably
It's
not a
probably
noticeable difference, but who knows? Like that doesn't limit anything, but I think like if you use it over time, like it can better understand your preferences and stuff. Like it
right.
can have memory and stuff. And especially like if you use it on a computer, like there are ways for you to customize it even more. Like
That's fine.
for example, when I use this software with coding and stuff, like you can there's a file where you can save these things also, and like when you create a project, also you can do that actually with Gemini too on your phone too, probably. You can create a project and you can give it instructions, and then it will respond accordingly.
Well, I was looking. Maybe I didn't look good enough, but yeah, I was looking for the
Yeah.
project thing. Maybe it's under a
Hmm.
different name.
Hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, it's
Yeah. And
great because it can
Gemini.
pull stuff from YouTube. YouTube, and I think
Hmm.
even is able to scrape Facebook posts and like Google's reviews and
Hmm.
YouTube summary. So um,
Hmm. Yeah. Actually, yeah, the project one, I don't remember.
yeah, projects are probably one of my most used things in GBTs. Like for I have a avid like a health GBT customized, like
Hmm.
heavily customized, and it gives some really good information, like
Yeah, I think
different
here
things.
it's like workspace or something.
Okay, workspace.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Actually, let me get back to you on that.
Okay.
Yeah, but it has been very helpful. Anyways, we're kind of going off the Quran study now. But I mean, are there any comments or questions from anyone
Yeah,
about?
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. 1635. Was
Mm-hmm.
this also a part because I'm looking via internet, via the website, not via the book.
Uh-huh.
So in 1635, God says, the idol worshippers say, had God willed, we would not worship any idols beside him, nor would our parents, nor would we prohibit anything beside his prohibitions. Those before them have done the same. And then it says, can the messengers do anything but deliver the complete message? So like
Mm-hmm.
this shows us that when God sends a messenger, that he doesn't die before giving the complete message, right? Like there is not
Mm-hmm.
something that we're missing.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Also,
we were talking about, if I'm not mistaken, there's this voice recording where the messenger starts talking about circumcision, and then it cuts off. Uh, there's like one sentence and then it cuts off, and I think it was about circumcision, but then we don't hear anything else. Do you remember this, Sulaiman?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so like at least we can say that the complete message has been delivered, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like everything that we have received until now, that we can definitely say that this was the complete one
Mm-hmm.
because of
Yeah,
this
I mean, the
verse.
messenger talks about it in the final speech in the final
yeah,
speech just
yeah,
before he passed away.
he
He says if
passed.
it's in the Quran, we accept. If it's not in the Quran, we have
We
no regard
rejected.
for it. It may not be correct. We don't care. We don't accept it. That's our
Mhm.
principle. It's simple.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's not enough
yeah.
for people.
It's great
But
that it's said this way because it
yeah,
covers
but
everything. You know.
mhm. Yeah, exactly. And this is exactly what I was referring to earlier when I made my comment about
Hmm.
this verse. They made the same reasoning, the same excuse. Say, had God wanted, he would have said this, the messenger would have said this, the messenger would have said that. I'm like, the messenger already delivered the complete message. He said, follow Quran alone. He said
Hmm.
hadith and sunnah are satanic innovations. And literally they're following a practice. They're insisting on following a practice which most of
Hmm.
these people are Persians, right? And in
It's
their
like
own
Surah too,
language,
the heifer.
yeah,
You know.
yeah. But I mean, most of these people are Persians. Majority of them, and now Turkish, right? And in
Hmm.
their own language, it's called Sunnah. The practice of circumcision in their own language is called Sunnah. And they say the messenger did not say that you can do Sunnah, right? I mean, how stupid is
Well,
that to even sound? If you think about it, like it's a sunnah.
I mean, if they were, if I was them, like
You need me to
you
smash
should run.
smash you on the head with a pan, like for you to get
Mhm.
your mind in the right order. Like, come on,
I
you're
mean, yeah,
absolutely dumb.
they should run. Like even at the word sooner, anything tied to or
Yeah,
related to it, they
yeah,
should like do
Mhm.
a 180 and backtrack.
yeah. But they say because we can say it in English that nobody's gonna detect it, because we're saying
Mhm.
circumcision.
Yeah, in Turkish we
Now
definitely
we're
use
American.
sunnah. We don't say sunnah, we say sunnet. Like
Sunnah,
yes,
because yeah,
yes,
because
sunnet.
because no, because sunnah is the same as sunnah, right? In Urdu,
Yeah, yeah, it's the
we
same.
say it's the same thing. We
Mhm.
don't say like hadith and sunnah. Like sunnah, you say it in Arabic, but in Urdu and in Turkish and all these languages, you say the T at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in 43:22 it says like the title is Inherited Traditions Condemned. The
Hmm.
fact is, they said, we found our parents carrying on certain practices and we are following in their footsteps. Invariably, when we sent a warner to any community, the leaders of that community would say, we found our parents following certain practices and we will continue in their footsteps. So
Hmm.
in 24, the messenger would say, what if I brought you better guidance than what you inherited from your parents? They would say, we are disbelievers in the message you brought.
Exactly.
Uh, There was also one other thing, brother, but this is again in verse 43, because something struck me there about. Let me open it first. This is already out of topic, I think, but anyways. Um,
I like Surah
so
Ornaments. It's one of my favorite surahs.
43, brother.
Yeah, I like all the
Oh no.
surahs, but I like
Yeah, yeah,
Surah
okay.
43. Like I don't. It's hard to say
Yes,
you have a favorite surah, but
it was about the mystery of the covenant, and then God says something there that was really, yeah, here. So in 43:40, the title is God's messenger of the covenant. And it says, can you make the deaf hear? Can you make the blind see? Or those who are far astray? Whether we let you die before it or not, we will surely requite them. Or we may show you the retribution we promised for them. We are in full control over them. You shall steadfastly preach what is revealed to you. You are in the right. So the 4343, it says the sum of the geometrical value of Rashad Khalifa, 1230 plus 43 is 1273, makes 19 times 67. Okay, so like starting from 4340 up to 4343, the messenger that is meant is Dr. Rashad, right? Like because the title is God's messenger of the covenant. And then in 41 it says, whether we let you die before it or not, we will surely requite them. Like the first thing that came to my mind was like the messenger already died before the smoke prophecy happened. Like, does this make any, like, is there any correlation? Like, does this make any sense? Because that was the first thing I was saying. Okay, like if God is talking about it here, he says, you can make, can you make them, can you make the deaf hear? Can you make the blind see? Or those who are far astray, whether we let you die before it or not, we will surely requite them, or we will
Wow.
show you the
Yeah.
retribution we promised them. Like,
Oh my
what is the
man, you just found.
retribution?
You just. I think like you're tying into the smoke because remember this was so. If you remember that video, when you count back from Surah 44, the smoke verse, you count back 58 years or 58 verses, you actually land on this God's messenger of the covenant verse. Because if you remember, we were counting the prophecies, because you go back to 1971. That's why you choose 58. You know what I'm?
Mhm.
Is that what you're talking about? In relation to the smoke.
Yeah, like
Is
because it's
that
in 42, it says, oh, we may show you the retribution we promised for them. Like the title is
yeah?
God's messenger of the covenant,
It's a
right? Like,
covenant.
what is the retribution for the people who rejected the message of the covenant? And we were speaking a lot of the, and actually when you go and read, for example, in 46 it says, for example, we sent Moses with our proofs to Pharaoh and his elders, proclaiming, I am a messenger from the Lord of the universe. When he showed them our proofs, they laughed at them, and every sign we showed them was bigger than the one before it. We afflicted them with the plagues, perhaps they repent. They said, oh, you magician, implore your Lord, etc. And then like um yeah, so like what I'm thinking is, okay, so God sent a messenger, people didn't believe in him, then the retribution is coming, like the promised retribution, the smoke. And when we read and after this, after 43, chapter 43, when we go to chapter 44, that is the chapter of the smoke. You
Mhm.
see, like the smoke.
Yeah.
And then what was
That
I
makes
about to
also in chapter 44, after the smoke verses, it talks about Pharaoh just like it does here. But
uh,
yeah, I don't know if you remember the video I had made about the 19 the prophecies. They're all like the verses between the prophet, like the 19, the God's messenger of the covenant. If you go in the Quran appendix, is
73.
1970. No, I think it's 1971. And if you count 58 years from 1971, to the next prophecy, it lands on 2029. And
Yeah,
so,
this is
similarly,
in
if
the
you count from
website.
this, yeah, if you count from this one, if you count from God's mission, you count 58 verses representing 58 years, you actually land on the smoke verse. And this was like, and then
Mhm.
if you go even past, like, okay, well, what's the last Gog and Magog and the end of the world? Well, you count, I think it's 260, and I physically counted these twice, and then you can also speed count them by knowing how many verses and stuff on the page. But then you land on a verse that's talking about the day the earth cracks, or they're giving rise to them. It's like an end of the world verse. And then the one before, like 9 verses earlier, it's talking about a community that was annihilated, just
Many a
like
generation before them who were more
before them we
powerful, yet until
annihilated them
they
who were
reached
more
the land,
powerful.
did they find an escape.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I didn't. I see what you're saying here. Like I didn't even realize. Uh, I
Mhm.
never even thought about it. Like how it says, we may show you.
Yeah,
Uh,
so when you and then when you go, brother, to 44:10, the title is "The Smoke, a Major Prophecy," and they said, "Therefore, watch for the day when the sky brings a profound smoke." And then the footnote says only two signs are yet to be fulfilled: this smoke and Gog and Magog. It will envelop the people. This is a painful retribution. Our Lord relieved this retribution for us. We are believers. And then again in 44:13, the title is again God's messenger of the covenant. Now that it's too late, they remember an enlightening messenger had come to them, but they turned away from him, saying, "Well educated but crazy." Like it can't be a coincidence that, you know, when you have like one chapter before this in 43:40, it's God's messenger of the covenant, and then talking about the retribution, and God saying, "Or we may show you the retribution we promised to them." It doesn't say we're going to show you, or we may show you the
right.
retribution.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we let you die
That's
before it or not, we will
uh,
surely requite them.
right. Yeah. That's really that actually lines up perfectly. Those verses with the smoke, like how, because because you remember he didn't know. I mean, he knew about the smoke and like it was coming, but like he didn't know. I mean, like obviously we know he's not here, but like the verse says, it says, "Or we may show you what we promised for them." So that covers both. Um, you know,
Hmm.
that's very
Yeah, I
interesting.
also remember, you know, when I watched the interview, that was the first video I saw of Dr. Rashad, and immediately after watching that, I read chapter 74. But this time I started from chapter 71, I think. Like I started reading from chapter 71. And then for the first time, I was like understanding the words Rashadan, you know, like you have the word, the Rashadan, like it comes in, like you read it 5 or 6 times, right? In 72 and 73, if I'm not mistaken. So it brings you to a certain point, like it has a way of um, um, preparing you, you know, for 47 before sorry, 74. So it starts preparing you for 74. Like I had the same thing here.
So,
Yeah, maybe it doesn't mean anything, I don't know, but this was.
no, I mean that makes a lot of 41 and 42.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what happened. He departed. He passed away. He left this earth before this retribution is. So he wasn't shown it. But it says, or we may or may not show you what we promised for them.
Yeah, like it
Meaning, like
also
you
starts in
can
the
you can
beginning.
die. You can die before. We may let you die before this
Yes,
or not.
yes,
But
yes.
it will still like we will surely requite them. Like so, whether you die before the smoke or not, it's still going to be requited.
Mhm. We have sent many a prophet to the previous generations. Every time a prophet went to them, they ridiculed him. Consequently, okay, so like for example, in 6, he says, "We have sent many prophets to the previous generations. Every time a prophet went to them, they ridiculed him. Consequently, we annihilated people who were even more powerful than these. We thus set the examples for the previous communities." Like before, so many things happen. So it's like very, like we shouldn't be so surprised if there is going to be a huge you know, like punishment to people who didn't accept the message.
Yeah. Imagine the punishment for someone who falsely claims to be a messenger,
Mm,
like his son,
yeah.
for example. Like you know how Noah's son drowned in the flood.
Hmm.
Lemon, you're cooking?
No, I'm just washing something.
For example, a messenger dies, um, like people cannot marry the wives of a messenger, right? Or is that from hadith? Like, is
No,
there
that's just
some rule?
that's the worst verse specifically about Muhammad.
Oh yeah, it's not okay. It's not about generally about messengers.
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, mashallah. You are in the right path. You shall steadfastly preach what is revealed to you. You are in the right path. 43 for the sum of the geometrical value of Rashid Khalifa plus 43 is 1273. Yeah. Yeah, this makes really sense. Have we ever pointed out? Okay. MashaAllah, very good study, brother.
Mhm. Well, sure. So I guess if there are no other comments or questions, God willing, we can conclude our study. Thank you all for joining us. And thank you, Brother John, for leading the study. God willing, our next English Quran study would be on Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. God bless you all. Assalamu alaikum.